Protesters in cities around the world are demanding government action on climate change. In New York, people doused Wall Street's famous charging bull statue in fake blood. The protests are part of a global network of demonstrations known as the Extinction Rebellion. International protests were held in a number of cities, including London, Sydney, Berlin, and Amsterdam. Here at home, police arrested several protesters at a protest in Toronto. Demonstrators started occupying the Bloor Street Viaduct, a major bridge connecting downtown and East Toronto, during the morning rush hour. The street was blocked by protesters who sat in front of large block letters spelling out "Act Now." And it's not just Toronto. The climate marches are disrupting traffic right across the country. In Nova Scotia, the Macdonald Bridge was affected between Dartmouth and Halifax. And as we mentioned, protesters were arrested at Toronto's Bloor Street Viaduct. Further west in Edmonton, the march blocked the Waterdale Bridge. And in Vancouver, the Burrard Street Bridge remains blocked in both directions. Later this afternoon, there are plans to block off the Johnson Street Bridge in Victoria. For more on this, I'm joined by Megan Batchelor in our Vancouver newsroom. So, Megan, what's the situation there?
Well, Andrew, as you mentioned, the protest on the Burrard Street Bridge in Vancouver is continuing as we're seeing the other protests across the country really wrapping up. Here in Vancouver, it's been a mostly peaceful protest. Around 150 people have taken to the bridge. They've been there now for a number of hours. It's a bit of a rainy day here, but that doesn't look like it's deterred them. There's been songs that have been sung, speeches are done there as well, and as you can see in this video, there's even a hockey game that broke out on the Burrard Street Bridge today. Protesters also made the move to only block traffic to vehicles in Vancouver. The sidewalk and bike lanes are open all day, so pedestrians and cyclists are able to make their way in and out of downtown via the Burrard Street Bridge. Police took the action of closing the bridge before the protest even started. They have remained on scene, mostly just watching as the protest continues all day, and that is the plan. Protesters say they are planning on staying on the bridge for the entire day, maybe even into the evening. At this point, no arrests have been made. Let's move on now to Edmonton. There, no arrests made either, but police say that those could come in the next few days or so. They told CBC News that they are now investigating the protests there as things really got quite heated between motorists and the protesters. At one point, there were punches thrown. We're hearing reports of a motorcyclist who was able to weave their way through the traffic, through the protesters there. So really ramped up things in Edmonton as traffic was blocked on the Waterdale Bridge there for much of the day. Things are now open. Again, arrests have not been made, but police say that those could be coming. Now in Toronto, arrests were made there as traffic was blocked on the Bloor Viaduct for much of the day. Toronto police tweeted that traffic had reopened there at 1:30 local time. No numbers at this point, Andrew, as to how many people have been arrested or what kind of charges may have been laid.
And so how has this played out in other cities around the world?
Well, that's right. We're seeing this around the world. Organizers with the Extinction Rebellion said that they had planned to have similar protests in 60 cities around the world. So let's start with New York, where we saw protesters taking over Wall Street. They climbed the charging bull statue. They had fake blood thrown on it as well. 26 people were arrested there, charges laid relating to the defacing of that statue. Professional cleaners had to be brought in to clean that fake blood off of the statue there. And so 26 arrested in New York. Moving on to Australia and New Zealand. And of course, given the time zones, that is where this movement really started today in Australia and New Zealand. Lots of people coming out for that. We're hearing that 30 people were arrested in Sydney. Moving on now to London, 200 people were arrested there. We saw people chaining themselves to vehicles. They had a die-in there as well to really prove the point that they want politicians to be doing more to fight climate change. In Germany, a protest camp was set up outside Chancellor Angela Merkel's office over the weekend in preparation for today. We saw arrests there as well. And finally, in Amsterdam, there were 90 people arrested. And we'll be keeping an eye on things out here out west as things are expected to pick up in Victoria as the day goes on, Andrew.
All right, Megan, thank you.
You're welcome.